Mike Dempsey, JP Shadrick, and Austen Lane will get you ready for kickoff.
Now he's going to try and run it in. He's in the end zone. Touchdown. He got up. Trevor Lawrence ran it in.
The Publix Tailgate Show is brought to you by the University of Florida, Whataburger, Farah and Farah, and by Everbank. The Publix Tailgate Show starts right now.
Good morning, and dare I say happy fall to you. I opened the garage door. It was 64 degrees at 6:30 this morning, and I thought, man, what a great day for football. Hello and welcome to the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian Sexton along with Austen Lane and Mike Dempsey. We're here for the next 3 hours to get you ready for the Seahawks and Jaguars. Today's game presented by Florida Blue. Proud to be the exclusive healthcare partner, insurance provider, and support the Jacksonville community as the official community partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mike, Austen.
Morning.
Good morning. There is a lot of energy in Jacksonville and in this building and the one across the street. We're in the Hyundai Studios, by the way, at the Miller Electric Center, for a 4-1 football team coming off of Monday Night Football.
Yeah, why wouldn't there be, Austen, right? I mean, you're 4-1. You're tied for the best record in the National Football League. You feel like you played well enough to win every single one of your games. You're 3-0 at home. You get Seattle coming in with a beat-up secondary. Trevor Lawrence coming off probably his best performance of the year in the national spotlight. A lot to like with what's going on.
Without a doubt. And you talk about a team that I feel like has really checked the boxes on a lot of curses, right? You beat Houston at home. You went to the West Coast, beat San Fran, who in retrospect is a pretty dang good football team. And then you beat Kansas City on primetime television. So, like, all three of those boxes are checked. And now you find yourself in a new territory of, can you keep it rolling? Can you keep this momentum? And can you come out and after an emotional victory, come out and obviously win another game against the Seahawks here?
All right, so speaking of emotion, the head coach isn't worried about the emotion because he said his team was pissed off earlier this week.
I don't want to say we're the most pissed off 4-1 team, but like there's definitely some feelings in the building over the last few days of knowing that we have not still put out 60 minutes of our best football. I think they just know that there was some meat left on the bone even after a really cool win. Guys
like Anton Harrison in particular were vocal about that. Josh Hines-Allen, Foye Oluokun. It's a change, I think, in the mindset of this football team, and I think the change obviously comes from the man leading them.
Yeah, you could be happy about the win and still recognize that there's areas to improve. And you gave up 476 yards last week, and without a goal line interception, it was a good play. It wasn't a fluke play by Devin Lloyd. That turned the game around. Who knows how it would have gone, but we can all sit back, Austen, and revel in the victories, but coaching staffs love this. You win, and there's a lot of correctable stuff.
It's wild because you want to talk about that Tyson Campbell decision, right? A guy who I think meant a lot to this Jaguars team the past couple years. They trade him to Cleveland, and I think that just shows right there. A lot of 4-1 teams, regardless of how you played, would be complacent. They would be, okay, we're okay. We're 4-1. We'll figure it all out, but the Jaguars don't. James Gladstone and company, they trade away one of their known players to Cleveland, and that to me shows me you can't be complacent with this team. I remember when I played for a guy named Ernest Biner. He was a backs coach and everything. Guy I have a huge respect for. He used to always tell us in the locker room is as soon as you guys start feeling comfortable and you start feeling complacent, that's when we start losing.
Since you're on that, let's hear from Josh Hines-Allen, who spoke to this specifically in terms of the defense, which they came up with some big plays when they needed them, but gave up a lot of yards.
We just got to play with that one and, trying to get the next win mentality and just keep stacking them. Again, we're not – I feel like last week was a kind of step back defensively. I think everybody will say that as well. Had a lot of great plays, though. Devin made a great play. I'm not saying we played terrible, but there was still to a standard that we set for ourselves as an individual and as a unit that we didn't hold up to. And so we're kind of pissed off about that. And again, we got a good team coming in this week, and we got to do what we do and get back to doing what we do best.
A step back was how he termed it.
That's
League
fair.
leading 14 takeaways, but they gave up more than 350 yards. He called it, again, backwards.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. I like that attitude, right? I mean, we're happy about the win. You still found a way to get it done. But I think the glaring thing from that game on Monday night is no Trayvon Walker, no pass rush, right? There was not much effective pressure on Patrick Mahomes throughout the course of that game. Trayvon's back today. How effective can he be with that hand in some kind of a wrap still?
Well, and not only obviously Trayvon Walker in the pass game, but also the run game as well. Because you talk about a Kansas City Chiefs team that really couldn't run the football the entire season. They come into Jacksonville, and And to say the most part, they run the football pretty effectively. Now you're playing a Seahawks team that they have some pretty good backs themselves. They're going to try to establish the line of scrimmage, and this is where this Jaguars defense, interior-wise, and also with Trayvon Walker hopefully coming back, is got to stifle that run a little bit.
He's going to play with a club on his hand today.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's something that he'll have to get used to. From your perspective, what's the biggest challenge that he has to overcome, not having all 10 fingers?
So I've had to play with a club in college, actually, and it's not ideal, obviously, right? Because you're so accustomed to using your hands and using your fingers to rip off and make plays, and you don't have that anymore. The benefit that Trayvon Walker has is his length and his power, right? I mean, this guy can be a power rusher, so that club is almost a weapon now than more of a liability. So I expect him not to fall too far off with this club on his hand now.
So the Jaguars made the trade you mentioned for Greg Newsome. They send Tyson Campbell to Cleveland, and we asked the defensive coordinator, what can he do? He will be active today. What can he do in just a couple of days on the practice field to help you?
To me, he's aggressive at the point of attack. When you watch him play man-to-man, I think he's really, really sticky in coverage, competes at the catch point. And then in zone coverage, he's a savvy player. So I think obviously what we look at and we're excited about, I think he's got really good ball skills, ability to break and drive on the ball. And anytime, you're getting a smart, aggressive player, we're fired up about it.
Talented guy.
Yeah, a talented guy. It's interesting because I think the feeling is he is better suited to play zone, and Tyson Campbell may be better suited to playing man. And, the Jags played the most man in the league last year, and that's not the case this time around. First-round pick in the same draft as Tyson Campbell. They came in together, and obviously Tyson got paid. And I think both teams, this is the rare occasion when you can trade a player for another player at the same position, and each team thinks they got the better end of the deal.
It's well because it's the second time I feel like that's happened now. Because if you look at the Travis Hunter trade, I think in Jacksonville everyone's excited for Travis Hunter, what he's doing. But in Cleveland, they have a first-round draft pick next year, and Mason Graham is playing on a defensive line that might be one of the best in the entire National Football League. So I feel like both teams right now feel like they won both trades. But at the end of the day, if you look at what Tyson Campbell does well, I think what he lacked was kind of the ball skills in terms of trying to track that ball and everything. And in zone coverage, you got to have that. I think Jim Schwartz will like what Tyson Campbell can bring to his, Browns defense, and we're going to like, getting a guy now that's a little more versed for zone coverage.
So what do you expect today from him? Because you're going against Sam Darnold, who has 9 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. Now, 4 of them came last week. 5 consecutive touchdown drives to make that an overtime ball game last week against the Buccaneers. What can you reasonably expect from a guy who just got here on Tuesday afternoon?
It's wild because if you got a guy in offense, it would take you like 2 weeks, I feel like, in this Liam Cohen offense to try to adjust and learn everything. On defense, it's a little different. I don't expect him to play every single rep just because still, it's defense and you played a lot of zone coverages and everything. Like, he's a smart football player, but you're still playing with new teammates, right, with communication and everything, and you're still learning new calls. So I expect him to be out there in packages, but not necessarily the entire game.
I think it's interesting to see not only how he fits in, but does this increase the playing time for Travis Hunter on defense? And who do the Jags look at as their top corner now? Who's the guy that's matching up with Jackson Smith and Jigba when you are in man? I think there's a lot that we're going to learn early this afternoon.
As I reflect back on the trade, there were 2 plays that made me think absolutely it makes sense. One was the 3rd and 9, where Mahomes got drilled. The one of the few times they sent extra pressure, threw the ball to a spot like he tends to do, and Tyson seemed lost. He ran beyond. The ball hung up there, and he was nowhere in position to make a play. The other was Monteric Brown, who had the pass deflection late in the ball game. They really like Monteric Brown. He'll be a factor today. I would expect to see more of him, obviously, than Newsome, because he's been here since he got back.
Yeah, I think so. And, they've been waiting for him to get healthy, and now that he is, I think that enabled them to make this kind of move. Let's not forget, that will be a lasting memory of Tyson Campbell, that play. But let's not forget the forced fumble against Nico Collins, or forced the ball out of Nico Collins' hands that helped the Jags preserve that win. So, we're happy about Greg Newsome. We're excited. We want him to be fantastic. That doesn't mean Tyson Campbell's a bad guy that we're shipping out of town.
No, and everybody said as much, right? He was a locker room guy. He really fit the culture here. They hated to move on. But the one thing that we've talked about is that James Gladstone and Tony Baselli in concert with Liam Cohen have said, when we can get better, we will not hesitate to do it. Not to the exclusion of anybody, but pretty much there are no sacred cows. We'll do what we have to do to win. That's the job. Hey, one thought real quick on the defense before we turn to the offense briefly. You mentioned Kenneth Walker, the running back. Obviously, Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, a very talented receiver. I asked Devin Lloyd, the AFC Defensive Player of the Month in September, what he saw when he turned on the film of the offense in Seattle.
You start with the quarterback. He's playing really good. He was playing good last year. And, he's in a system that fits him well. Obviously, their running backs, especially number 9, got a lot of respect for his game and the way he plays. And then, they want to run the ball and play action off of it. They got a couple of really good receivers, number 11, number 10. So, we got to be ready for the run game and play action off of that.
Yeah, rookie Torrey Horton's been a factor. A.J. Barner has been a red zone factor for this team. But it's really Darnold. He's got a quarterback rating of 114. He's been fantastic for the most part since the beginning of last year, with maybe the exception of coming to Jacksonville, right? With Minnesota, and the Jags held him to 12 points and produced 3 of the 9 turnovers they had all year were interceptions to Sam Darnold. So run that back today, Austen, and that's going to go a long way for this Jaguar team.
You have to run it back. And I get that game against Minnesota. People are talking about that all week. To me, it was a little bit of an anomaly just because if you remember how that game kind of went, they wanted to get Justin Jefferson the ball. He was very quiet the past couple weeks. Like, they went above and beyond to try to get him the ball. Darnold was throwing it in double coverage in the end zone, and you got 2 picks off him because of it. I don't expect Darnold to play like that today. I think in this new Seattle Seahawks offense that he's found himself in, he gets the ball out quickly as a pass rusher. That can be very frustrating. And you have one of the best wide receivers, I feel like, in the National Football League now, and Jackson Smith, Jigba, can run the slant, can run really the entire route tree, but can also beat you deep as well.
All right, a couple of thoughts then from the Jaguars. Offensively, it would seem today that this game is going to come down to the quarterback playing well. Because the Seahawks secondary is injured and lots of guys are sitting. The other side of it, though, is that the running game is going to be challenged by a Seahawks defense that gives up fewer than 90 rushing yards per game. And so Liam Cohen talked about the obstacle in front of the Jaguars offense today.
Nobody's running the ball on those guys, really. Their front is so deep. They've got 8 guys up front that have played high-level football in the NFL and have all been impactful starters at some point in the National Football League at one point. So they have definitely played on the offense's side of the line of scrimmage often this year. Huge challenge for us, both schematically and, personnel-wise, for us to have to go, move the ball and run the football effectively. We're going to need to.
And they'll probably have to do it without their starting center, Robert Hainsey, who has either been limited or didn't practice most of the week with a hamstring injury.
Yeah, Jonah Monheim played very well. I thought you couldn't even notice any kind of drop-off, and that's been the case of this offensive line all year. One guy goes out for a short period of time. The guy who comes in has played to that level and kept that level up, and it's been one of the best offensive lines in the league this year. But, offensively, they've got to run the ball, or at least try to run the ball early. Yeah. You got to keep them honest, even with those injuries in the secondary. And we're talking about 3 of their top 5 guys back there who are doubtful to play. You want to attack that. This could be a big day for Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter, but it makes it so much easier if you can have a little success early running the football.
No, without a doubt. And I think this Jaguars offensive line will have some, they're going to have their hands full today, because you talk about a defensive line that's coming off a pretty impressive performance against, Rashad White and company. Now, granted, Bucky Irving, when he played with Tampa, wasn't playing in that game. He was a little banged up, but Rashad White is a capable running back, a hungry running back who's just trying to get his starting spot back, at least get some more reps. And they shut him down with that Seattle defensive line. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for this Jaguars offensive line. And I think when you talk about how you beat these Seahawks, it's got to be in the secondary.
Listen, the word all week was that Jonah Monheim was not a step down for the Jaguars. 7th-round pick, but I remember in the spring hearing how much they thought of what his potential was. And so he may get his first start today. We heard from him in the locker room this week as well.
I'm fortunate to be here, with this coaching staff and with these guys in the O-line room, taking me under their wing and, showed me the ropes of what it takes and, getting the details from the coaching staff every day, learning from Rob what it takes on the field and in the meeting room and just trying to apply myself, knowing I got to always be ready and always got to keep striving to improve every day.
One other guy that the Jaguars have to replace today is Brenton Strange, who's going to be down for a number of weeks with a hip injury, and Grant Udinski, and he's a key part of the run game. He was asked, the offensive coordinator was, about replacing Strange.
But I do think what you're trying to do is take advantage of those guys' skills and what they can provide to the offense. And I think that's a wide variety of things. Johnny Munt, Hunter Long, Morris, all of those guys can be valuable in the run game, pass game, line up in different positions in the backfield, out wide, at the tight end spot, on and off the ball, doing a bunch of different things.
Any of those guys replace Strange as a blocker?
No. No. Or as a receiver, quite frankly. I mean, Hunter Long's been a nice option. He scored a couple of touchdowns this year. So, if you're looking for a guy to maybe get in the end zone, sure, Austen. But last week, Brenton Strange came in as the most receptions, most yards receiving, hadn't found the end zone yet, and he's a devastating blocker. He's one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL. So I don't think you can replicate it in one package. It's going to have to be a collective effort.
No, I mean, there's no way you're going to replace his blocking abilities and his receiving abilities. And I think the biggest thing in this Jaguars offense now is who's the security blanket. Because I felt like, when it was hitting the fan a little bit, when Trevor was feeling pressure, he always tried to find out Brenton Strange to get him the football. Brenton Strange was the most consistent thing going as a receiver in this offense. You lose that now. So now it's maybe time for Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, he had a great game against Kansas City. Can he keep stepping off and be that security blanket? Because, once again, you face a great defensive line right now in the Seattle Seahawks. You got to find a security blanket out there.
All right, those are the big stories to start off the Publix Tailgate Show. Coming up.
Outside of football, we all connected well, just as human beings, as brothers, and we all just kept growing during OTAs and camp, going through hard times together.
Right tackle Anton Harrison playing his best ball, and we'll hear from him shortly. But up next, CBS Sports senior writer Pete Prisco. The Seahawks and Jaguars kick off at 1 o'clock at Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, and you're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow! Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
My best friend Riley loved going to the beach. She was a great swimmer. Then one day, during a swim meet, she collapsed. She had cancer, Hodgkin lymphoma. She spent months getting care at UF Health. The doctors did so much, even put her in a clinical trial. I wish we could go to the beach right now, but she's working.
Out of the water.
She's on lifeguard duty. Maybe we'll head out when her shift is done.
UF Health. Human progress has no finish line.
Jags fans, this season make your game day even tastier with Al's Pizza in the stadium, and then you can enjoy even more with the Al's Pizza Pickoff promo after the game. When the Jaguars get 2 interceptions in one game, you'll score 50% off one pizza, any size you want, for 48 hours after the game. Just tell them you want the Jags Pick promo when you order. Up your game and your pizza with Al's at the stadium or any of their 5 locations.
Hey, fellow Floridians.
We're the Wombles. We're retirees with 5 grandkids.
And huge fans of natural gas. When the kiddos visit from Ohio, we go through towels like pool water. That's why we love our natural gas dryer. It dries in a chip.
So we use less energy and save money, too.
Yep.
Now earn up to a $300 cashback rebate when you install a new energy-efficient natural gas dryer. To learn more, go to peoplesgas.com/rebates.
The Polaris Factory Authorized Clearance Event is going on now at Ride Now Jacksonville. This is your chance to grab a 2025 side-by-side or ATV at some of the lowest prices of the year. Save up to $4,000 on select 2025 models or get financing as low as 0.99% APR for 36 months. Shop now and mention Jaguars at the time of purchase and score big with Polaris at Ride Now Jacksonville. Financing OAC. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Driver must be at least 16 years old with a valid driver's license to operate. All riders should take a safety training course. Call 800-342-3764 for more information.
2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Brought to you by FDOT.
Here we go on the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian, Mike, and Austen from the Hyundai Studios inside the Miller Electric Center in Jacksonville. Kickoff 1 o'clock this afternoon from Everbank Stadium in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida, where the temperature right now is 70 degrees. The high today, 78. Nice October weather. You had your weekly conversation with Pete Prisco, who we all know is a fall guy.
Well,
actually, no,
I was going to say it's going to be sunny all day, just like Pete always is, his disposition. But no, obviously, yeah, we're talking about a team that's doing some good things right now. But we started getting Pete's reaction to the deal that sent Tyson Campbell to Cleveland for Greg Newsome.
Well, I think it tells you that they want somebody that fits their scheme better. And I think Newsome fits what they want to do better, which is play looking at the quarterback and play more zone. And Tyson Campbell, his contract is very heavy. We've all known that for what he is. And he's not a bad player, but I think this is more of they feel Newsome fits better with what they want to do. Now, he's in the last year of his contract, so if he comes in and plays really well, they're going to have to do something with him. If they decide to go in that direction. But I think it makes sense from a win-now kind of mode because I think they look around, Mike, and they're 4-1, and all of a sudden they're in the thick of the AFC race. Why not get better? And they feel like Newsome makes them better.
Well, I agree with you. I think that is the big thing that we take away from this deal, Pete, is that, yes, they thought they were going to be competitive this year, but you and I have had off-the-record conversations with members of this organization. They're like, look, let's keep it realistic. Let's temper our expectations a little bit. This is a big reclamation project here. And now you look up and you're 4-1 and you've got a head-to-head against Kansas City and you look around the AFC and you're like, who is that super team, Pete? I don't think there is one out there, and I think they're reacting to that in the moment with this trade.
And you know what? They should. I mean, you look around, like you said, you look around the AFC. Buffalo's had some flaws. Baltimore's playing poorly. The Chiefs, they beat them, and they're 2-3 and have their backs against the wall. Denver, won a game last week at Philly, but they're 3-2, and nobody is running away with it. And I think nobody is going to run away with it. And so you look at it and you go, okay, right now we're 4-1. The Colts are 4-1. Let's get better. And maybe this is a chance for us to get better and go do some things the rest of the way. By the way, I don't think they're done. I think they're going to explore other possibilities to go improve the roster elsewhere. So you're right. It's kind of flipped. They thought they'd have to have a long-term, not a long-term, but a couple-year rebuild process, and I think it's been expedited a little bit.
Absolutely. And why not, especially you don't have a first-round pick next year. Push some chips to the center of the table, and it all comes at the expense of the Cleveland Browns ultimately. All right, so exciting week in Duval, Pete. We don't win Monday Night Football around here very often. We don't play on Monday Night Football very often. And to get that win in front of a packed house against the Kansas City Chiefs and to have Trevor Lawrence in a position in a 2-minute drill to have to get a touchdown to win the game and have him deliver, how big is that for Trevor moving forward?
It was enormous. And I think you can really, if you want to boil it down to one thing, it's the throw to Brian Thomas on the sideline. I mean, that throw was outstanding. It might have been one of the best throws of the entire season and certainly one of the best throws of his career. To make that in that moment and put it right where it had to be over the top of the defender's hands in between the safety was outstanding. And I think that's the kind of thing that gets him better. I'm a big believer that he tends to play better when he's loose and free and has to go get something. I mean, when I go back to the Chargers playoff game, he was loose and free, had to go get points, and he did. He was loose and free in this drive, and he went and got him, and he did. So to me, it could be the impetus to get this offense to where it needs to be throwing the football, because they haven't been that good throwing the football this year. There's been drops, you know that. There's been missteps. I still think they have too many pre-snap penalties, getting guys lined up. But getting him going, getting Travis Hunter involved in the passing game, I think that's important for the offense.
They got Trevor going on the ground as well. He was very aggressive running the ball. Is this an element that I think we've been calling for it, but do you think we'll see this more consistently from him now?
You know, you got to be careful with it in part because you don't want to take off before the play develops. And there was, for example, he had a nice run, but there was a guy, I think Strange was standing in front of him for a 15-yard completion. That's the easier thing to do. But it's good to have him and have the ability to do that. When pressure's getting around him, escape, go make a play, and don't be scared to do it. And I think, with his injuries and everything that's gone on, I think he's been a little apprehensive in terms of getting outside and running the football, and he kind of threw that aside the other night and did it. So I think it's a plus, but you got to be careful of overusing it.
All right, the absence of Trayvon Walker on Monday night was noticeable. They didn't get a ton of pressure on Patrick Mahomes. He's a tough guy to get pressure on, but regardless, they're not getting a lot of sacks this year. What is the state of the Jaguars' pass rush, in your opinion?
Not good enough. And I think, look, Josh Hines-Allen's a really good player. Trayvon Walker's a really good player, but they haven't been getting the guy on the ground, and he wasn't there the other night, and you clearly missed him. I thought there was some good interior pressure from Mason Smith the other night. Again, that's 2 games in a row. Maybe he's starting to come on a little bit. But, they played a lot of off coverage, and when you play a lot of off coverage, they were even dropping some of those defensive ends into coverage and rushing 3 at times, which, you don't want to give up the big play to the Chiefs. You don't want to get Mahomes to get that big shot down the field. I get it. But at some point, you got to start getting the quarterback on the ground. It's tough to do when you don't have a player like Trayvon Walker.
All right. All that said, Pete, what's your prediction for today?
Look, I think they win the game. I think this team is starting to feel itself a little bit. I think they're going to be physical against Seattle. And, look, Sam Darnold's put amazing numbers up, and it really has. But they didn't stop Baker Mayfield last week. And if Jacksonville goes into that game, runs the ball, and takes those shots down the field, I don't think they're going to stop them either.
Can Trevor Lawrence take advantage, of that secondary today and springboard off that Monday night performance to a better rest of the season?
We'll find out. PRI Productions, the official event production company of the Jaguars. They have everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. Well, the Jaguars' offensive line has been a surprise this year. A group that had underachieved in recent seasons is playing great ball. Right tackle Anton Harrison is perhaps the best player on that group and is growing into the role and says it feels good to be in that locker room right now.
Everybody morale is high. Obviously, it's still early in the season, but you can see kind of what's building here and what's to come for the future. So I feel like everybody's on the right trajectory, right plan. We just need to keep here and keep getting better.
The thing I find the most significant is the way that 5 guys on the offensive line have been able to come together. How did you do it? How did you get to a point where you guys could trust each other and play at a high level so quickly?
Really just from day one. I feel like we all, outside of football, we all connected well just as human beings, as brothers, and we all just kept growing during OTAs and camp, going through hard times together, and just learning from each other, learning what we good at, what we bad at, and just helping each other out. And we know we want to run the offense through us, so if we do that and we're together, everybody's going to be together. Everybody's going to keep going. So we try to have that mindset, and it's been working so far.
How important was Brandon Sheriff to you being where you are, playing the way you are right now? Because I think you've always looked at him as a guy who was very helpful for you.
Definitely. He was a guy I watched growing up. Being from D.C., he played with the Redskins, with the Commanders now. And just coming in, that savvy vet, teaching me really a lot of the things that I know now and just showing me how to be a pro, showing me how to be a vet, one of the best to do it. Obviously, he got the All-Pros, the Pro Bowls, things like that. But coming in, playing next to somebody like that is definitely huge for my career.
It goes without saying you guys feel good about the experience on Monday night and how awesome that was with all those people. Is there momentum in this locker room right now, or do you have to turn that off and just focus on the next opponent?
There's definitely momentum. You don't want it to – what's the word I want to use? You don't want it to be too much. You don't want to be distracting because, obviously we got another one this weekend, this Sunday. It's going to keep going, and you got to keep trying to get wins. So, obviously we want to enjoy it. We know momentum, but use momentum as fuel. Use it to come out strong and play all 4 quarters good for the next one.
What do you see on tape from Seattle? Clearly, the numbers say that this is going to be a big test.
Mm-hmm. For us, we want to know. We want to start up front. We want to control both sides of the ball, the lines, O-line, D-line. We want to run the ball. I just want to protect the quarterback. Seattle, I say they do a lot of different things with blitzes, games, movements, things like that. So it's something we need to be dialed in on. They have a good defensive scheme, good players. But we trust each other. We know what we're doing. We know the game plan, trust the game plan. So we do that, we'll be fine.
Final thought, Tony Baselli doesn't throw a lot of compliments out there, but he's very complimentary of the way that you're playing. How well are you playing, and what did it take for you to be able to play at your peak right now?
I feel like I'm playing at a pretty good level right now. Obviously, I still got things to work on. I'm not even at my peak right now. I'm still getting better week in and week out. But really just me locking in and focusing and the little things that I knew that I had to get better in, like pad level and finish and those little things that to elevate my game. and to be the most dominant player I want to be every week. So just coming in every Sunday with that mindset to dominate, to beat my player every snap, no matter what, it really just changed a lot for me.
I think Anton Harrison's ability to handle himself over on the right side, I mean, they've just put him out there and said, stop it. He made a great play on that throw to Brian Thomas Jr. where he got into the offensive line and then stepped out to grab Nick Bolton, who came on the outside on that rush. So Harrison's a big reason why this offensive line is playing well.
Yeah, and I mean, really, this offensive line going into the season, there are some question marks, right? And obviously, keep in mind when you bring in a new coaching staff and new regime, like, they're not tied to anybody. And then they weren't tied to Anton Harrison. I think they challenged Anton Harrison in training camp and everything, and obviously he's responded and playing some of the best football he's ever played so far for the Jaguars.
Oh, boy, you are understating it when you say there were some question marks about the offensive line, right? And all the holdovers, the three guys with Walker Little and Ezra Cleveland are all playing really good football this year, so obviously coaching matters a lot.
Well, up next on the Publix Tailgate Show.
I think the other part of it is just the adversity through the game. You know, you're playing a team like that in a stage like that and having some ups and downs and then battling back and staying the course, and there's a lot of emotion.
That's quarterbacks coach Spencer Whipple on Trevor Lawrence. Coming up, the Jaguars and Seahawks at 1 o'clock today. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show, and this is Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Everyone circle up. I know it looks rough out there. Sure, we're down 24-6, but we came here to play differently. We need a game changer. Something like Ring Central, the business phone system that's more than a phone. I want you to communicate like you can talk to anyone, anywhere, all from the same app. Now get out there and play like you're using Ring Central.
Ring Central. Simpler communications.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Catch epic showdowns in Cincinnati and Denver. Turn up the heat in Phoenix and Las Vegas. Support your Jaguars in divisional clashes in Houston, Nashville, and Indianapolis. View real-time parking, security, and flight updates on flyjacks.com. Whether you stick with the play call or you need an audible, they'll be your teammate every step of the way. Book your nonstop flights today. Learn more at flyjacks.com.
What's Here is a place that generations have trusted to help their kids grow up healthy and strong. What's Here are caregivers with knowledge and expertise rivaling any children's hospital in the world. What's Here is the only Level 1 pediatric trauma center in our region. What's Here is Wolfson Children's Hospital, with the technology, research, and dedication to save and change countless young lives. Wolfson Children's, always here. Visit wolfsonchildrens.com.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
And the Publix Tailgate Show continues. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Brian, Mike, and Austen with you from the Hyundai Studios inside the Miller Electric Center in Jacksonville. And today's game is presented by Florida Blue. Proud to be the exclusive health insurance provider and support the Jacksonville community as the official community partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Time now for a weekly commentary from Rick Ballou.
How great has this been for the Jaguar fans? 3 weeks in a row, you win a game a year ago you would have lost. And on top of that, new general manager James Gladstone, he continues to make moves, and he's making this team better. He acquires defensive back Greg Newsome, who will be a better fit in the Anthony Campanelli defensive scheme than certainly Tyson Campbell was. Tyson did some nice things around here, but Gladstone gets an A+ for moving that awful contract. And the message has been sent as well. This team expects to win right now. They also continue to put themselves in an excellent position for the future. Today is another huge challenge against a very good Seattle team, but one that is absolutely torn apart defensively. Last week I said it was Trevor time, and that he needed to take it to the next level. He did. Okay, it wasn't pretty, but he got the job done. His 33-yard completion to Brian Thomas Jr. was one that only a couple of people in this world can make. He was 7 of 9 for 144 yards to Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. Seattle allows 240 yards passing a game, and again, they are really injured in the secondary. They're number 2 in the NFC, or make that the NFL, when it comes to takeaways via the interception with 7. Only Jacksonville is ahead of them, and they're third against the run. So the message is crystal clear. Seattle is going to make Trevor Lawrence beat them today. Hunter only had 3 targets last week. All were completions. That needs to be doubled today. And what about Thomas Jr.? He's gone from a 28% catch rate in the first 3 games to a 69% catch rate in the last 2. Look for them both to hit the end zone today for the first time.
Or Rick Ballou on Into the Night with Rick Ballou, weeknights from 6 to 8 on 1010 XL. Well, from talking about the quarterback and it being on his shoulders against the Seahawks defense today, quarterbacks coach Spencer Whipple spends more time with Trevor Lawrence than anyone not named Marissa. Something clicked in Lawrence after the fumble against the Chiefs, and Whipple believes it's a really good sign for the future.
I think that's just kind of his personality coming out, and a lot of it has to do with all the work he's put in, all the work the team has put in to try to put the best offensive display on, in front of everybody, and then all that coming to light. And I think the other part of it is just the adversity through the game. You're playing a team like that in a stage like that, and having some ups and downs, and then battling back and staying the course. And there's a lot of emotion. Guys were hype, offense, defense. You got big plays both sides, so that was good to see. And I think it's just it's more about all the work and preparation that those guys put in to finally get there and then show that emotion.
He consistently talks about another level in the offense, how it's coming, how they're working through things. How difficult is it for a quarterback, even a relatively young guy, to make the adjustment to his third offense in 5 seasons? And how long should it take him to feel as if it's where he wants it to be?
Yeah, I think Trevor's a guy too that's played a lot of football and been exposed to a lot of different systems as well, and so he has that background. And then just to go through all the preparation, all the things that there's a lot in terms of starting in the spring, and then all the installs through springtime, and then training camp, and then getting to the season, then you're preparing for an opponent. So all those things kind of stack up and layer up, and we're still focusing on fundamentals through the entire offense of things that we had initially put in the spring, and things that'll still come up in training camp that still hold true that you want to keep harping on through the season, and then especially when you're playing different opponents.
When he gets frustrated and he comes to the sideline, how difficult is it to coach a guy at that moment?
I think as a quarterback too, everybody's a little bit different in terms of how they handle what just happened on the field. Generally, you like to, based on who the person is, and how they handle what had just happened, I feel like it's good to just kind of take a look, take a breath, and see what happened, and kind of be able to talk through things. And for me, just to be there for him, just to talk through the previous drive, and then see, and then after we kind of shut that off and we've kind of corrected everything or gone through the plays, what's coming next, because that's really the mode that you have to be in, to play quarterback. And then really for anybody in the position to play any position on the field is, all right, what's next, what's coming next, and then refocusing on what the next play is, what the next series looks like, the time in the game, the situation, all those things, and staying present.
Leadership is such an obtuse term. It means different things to different people, but his calm demeanor and the way that he interacts with all the different position groups, it would seem like he's the kind of guy with the right mindset to be the leader of this football team. Do you see that leadership side of it? And I know it's an opaque term.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's done a great job. Owning the system, learning into it, buying in and learning the ins and outs, and then putting it on display, and then really connecting with the guys around him. All positions, making sure everybody's on the same page, keeping that communication up, throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the season, and then ultimately bringing the guys together so they can all be on the same page. That's where it starts. The coaches can install the information, the game plan, but really it comes down to the quarterback and the players at the end of the day getting on the same page for how they see it, want it to work, and in the end ends up being the result they want, as long as they keep talking and keep that communication, and then it creates that connectedness within the offense and within the team.
I like the fact that he always points to himself where he can be better. What does he need to do to take that next step in this offense? Is it anything in particular or mostly in general?
No, I think he's on a great track. I think he's each week there's new things. You play different opponents. There's a whole new, we may have the ARB-based things that we do, in terms of a system, but then you're going against another opponent. And he's done a tremendous job in terms of just diving in each week, putting in the work daily, weekly, anytime, doing whatever he can to make sure he's the most prepared that he can be. So he goes out there during the game and performs. And I'm excited just to see us as a whole unit collectively and the things that we can accomplish, moving forward, with more games under our belt and, more exposure to different situations. I'm really excited about it. I know he is too. And, it just comes back to all the work he's put in from the first day we got here until now, and he's still building. And that's the great thing. You see, you have a game like that the other night where, you perform like that, perform well on a national stage, and then come back in and jump right in. All right, what's next? What can I do next? And that's really been, his mode of operation, and that's the great thing to see about him. He's always hungry for what's next and how he can keep improving.
So let me ask you guys, what do you see in Trevor Lawrence that he has to improve upon to take that next step and be that consistent quarterback?
All right, I think he needs to get through his reads a little bit deeper sometimes, and I think he just needs to be a little bit more accurate at other times. People sometimes want Trevor to be a different personality than he is. He is who he is, right? And it's okay to be mad and stuff, but he's not going to flip things over on the sideline. He's not that yeller and screamer, right? But to play with a little bit of an edge more consistently, Austen, I think is a positive thing for him.
I agree, right? Because you look at what the offense is capable of with a guy like Baker Mayfield, who is all edge, right? But I think the most important part is believing in who you are and being yourself. Like we celebrated Gardner Minshew for doing that for a couple years here in Jacksonville. I still feel like Trevor is trying to find his ground a little bit and find himself. And I just think, lock in and don't make the crazy mistakes, right? Like, example, Kansas City Chiefs game, when you go over the line of scrimmage to throw that ball and you're like 3 yards over the line of scrimmage, like, you can't have that.
Kurt Warner made the comment earlier this week, Hall of Fame quarterback, that there's 2 or 3 plays a game where you just scratch your head. How about Brenton Strange comes in motion, lines up behind you, not to lift you over the line of scrimmage on the goal line, but to push you.
Seemingly.
Instead, he leapt up, right? And the Chiefs said this week, hey, look, we know that that's what he does on the line of scrimmage at the goal line, so we just started slapping to try to knock the ball out.
Yeah.
You mentioned his personality. He is what he is. Is he just going to make 2 or 3 of those plays a game, and you're just going to have to learn to overcome them?
You hope that over time, a lot of those plays get weeded out, but it's like, you look at, he rolls left. All right, there are 2 guys in his face, a third guy coming. There's no one there to block for him, and instead of throwing it out of bounds and, stopping the clock, preserving a timeout, all that stuff, he eats it, tries to cut up, and loses 4 yards. But on the very next play, he hits that dime to Brian Thomas. So it's like that with Trevor sometimes, right? He shows you the brilliance, but he also frustrates you.
I think what it comes down to is just playing within yourself. Like, I get it. We want to celebrate these gunslingers and these guys playing in their backyards and try to make a play happen. You have this offense. You have a defense now who plays complementary football. You don't have to do all that. Just play within yourself, and you win the football game.
Well, say this for him. He fell. He tried to get back up. He fell again. And then got up and got through the garbage that was laying all around him and got to the end zone. And hopefully that grit, right, that determination not to let the narrative be they fell down and they didn't get back up. Got into the end zone, gave the Jaguars their signature win of the season, and have them poised today against the Seattle Seahawks to try to get to 5-1 before they head to London. Well, from the backyard to the beaches, the Ford F-150 with available Pro Power on board gives you the power of a mobile generator. Ford, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. See your local Ford dealer today. Well, at 11 o'clock, it's hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. But when we return, we'll go to the broadcast booth where Jeff Lageman and Bucky Brooks will join us. The Seahawks and Jaguars kick off just after 1 o'clock this afternoon. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show here on Jaguars Radio.
Big number 1 Duval Ford is trusted by Duval families, Duval businesses, and law enforcement across Florida. We're Jacksonville's largest Ford dealer by new Ford sales with the biggest service facility to keep everything in your driveway and in your fleet on the road. Shop Big number 1 Duval Ford on Cassett Avenue for our low prices and nationally recognized service-first experience. Big number 1 Duval Ford, proudly serving North Florida since 1916.
Federal employees keep our country going, and GEHA is proud to keep them going with health plans exclusively for them. We were started by postal employees in 1937, and today we offer all federal employees a network of 1.7 million providers and a health plan for every stage of life. That's why we've been trusted by millions of federal employees and retirees across the country since 1937. GEHA. Find your federal health plan at GEHA.com.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Catch epic showdowns in Cincinnati and Denver. Turn up the heat in Phoenix and Las Vegas. Support your Jaguars in divisional clashes in Houston, Nashville, and Indianapolis. View real-time parking, security, and flight updates on flyjacks.com. Whether you stick with the play call or you need an audible, they'll be your teammate every step of the way. Book your nonstop flights today. Learn more at flyjacks.com.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
To aim higher, run faster. It's what elite athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA. To not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units. To not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health. National Medical Center for Team USA.
Restaurant Orsay is a bustling French-American bistro focusing on classic French techniques with their chefs incorporating a traditional Southern influence. Celebrate life's special moments or just relax and enjoy their daily happy hour. Restaurant Orsay also offers full-service catering for any of your event needs. Restaurant Orsay, located in historic Avondale at 3630 Park Street. Visit www.restaurantorsay.com.
Final few minutes of hour 1 of the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian, Mike, and Austen with you from the Hyundai Studios. And today's game is presented by Florida Blue. Proud to be the exclusive health insurance provider and support the Jacksonville community as the official community partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Time now to bring in Jeff Lageman from the broadcast booth and turn it over to you, Mike.
All right, Logs, time for Finding Solutions presented by UF Health, the proud healthcare partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jeff, so we'll start with this new addition, Greg Newsome. Is he the solution for tighter coverage in the Jaguars secondary?
Well, I think he's part of it, but I think Monteric Brown also is going to have a role in that as well until Greg Newsome kind of gets on board it a little bit more. He didn't land here in Jacksonville until about Thursday, 12:30, 1 o'clock, something like that. So a couple days to kind of go over exactly the style of defense and learning the defense. So probably a little limited today. I expect him to play, though, but hopefully Monteric Brown, that go back to that game Monday night and that big pass defense that he had, that continues today.
Jeff, I'm hearing two narratives this entire game, right? I'm hearing how hard it is to come from the West Coast to the East Coast, and then I'm hearing about how hard it is to have an emotional victory on Monday night and then try to show up and play the following Sunday. Which narrative do you buy into more?
That's a great question, Austen. And, I'm a big believer in that traveling from coast to coast is more indicative of how good a team is. Just like we talked about a couple weeks ago, the Jaguars going to the West Coast. Look, if good teams travel well typically, and that's kind of been the rule of thumb. And the Seattle Seahawks have been doing a pretty good job under Mike McDonald. And the reality is they're on an 8-game road winning streak, so they come in here feeling confident. Look, and also Monday night, emotional victory. You also got a road game coming up in London. You're 4-1. Everybody's wanting to pat you on the back and tell you how good you are. Does that factor in? I think all of that does. It's human nature, and we'll see what the results of all that is today.
Logs, looks like the secondary's pretty beat up. 3 guys doubtful for the Seahawks: Devin Witherspoon, Reek Woolen, and Julian Love. Is this the atmosphere that can kind of jumpstart the Jaguars' passing game for 2025?
Well, I hope so, Mike. And, the reality is that the Seahawks are really good up front. With Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams, those 2 guys in the middle are really tough to deal with. And so I think even if you had some health in the back end with Seattle, I think still that would be the game plan, was to attack them in the secondary. But there's no doubt Julian Love, Devin Witherspoons, and Reek Woolen, without having them, I think the Seahawks are going to be a little bit behind the 8 ball, so to speak. So I expect the Jaguars to have some success doing that. But the reality is that Trevor Lawrence hasn't exactly been great as a passer in Liam Cohen's offense yet. And you hope that today that he's able to take some steps. But part of taking steps, you got to have a little bit of a running game. It doesn't have to be dominant, and I don't expect it to be dominant against that Seahawks defense. But if you can get something out of it, it'll help Trevor today.
Jeff, do you buy any advantage that the Jaguars may have? They almost have the answers to the test, because you have Tampa Bay going to Seattle last week, and Tampa Bay obviously dominated them on offense, especially through the air. Do you think Liam Cohen kind of looks at that and kind of formulates a game plan, if you will? And then also, obviously losing Brenton Strange, who I feel like is your security blanket, is huge. Who steps up now, and then who's Trevor's go-to guy when things break down?
Yeah, and let's start with Brenton, and best tight end in football, in my opinion. Heck, he's tremendous. He's not only an excellent blocker, we all know that, but after the catch, he's one of the best that there is. And the only other guy I think that's at that level has been hurt out in San Francisco. But look, you always end up having to replace guys. Hainsey's another guy that you got to be able to overcome in that situation. So offensively, I feel confident that they can do it. Look, Jonah Monheim, I thought was really good in last week's game and all through camp. And then I feel good about Hunter Long and Quentin Morris and Johnny Munn. I think all those guys are going to play a little bit of a role for this football team today.
How impactful can Trayvon be? Obviously not 100% with the hand wrapped up, but good to have him back.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting watch. A hand for a defensive lineman in Austen, this, it's everything. It's like trying to be a sports talk guy, without part of your lip. It just doesn't work, And he's going to play with a club today, hopefully in the future, in the next week or so, he can, move to more of a get his hand open and just support the wrist. But club today is the expectation. It's going to hurt. So tape an aspirin to it and use it as a weapon if you can. And then here's the other thing. Don't play with your hands as much. Try to get on the edges of guys, especially as a pass rusher. The right tackle for the Seahawks, Abraham Lucas, is not a great player. He's kind of stiff. Doesn't have the athleticism that their left tackle Charles Cross has. So I hope Trayvon uses his athleticism a little bit more and backs off on the power.
Jeff, when we talk about how you stop the Seahawks offense, you talk about Jack Smith-Njigba, who's one of the best wide receivers I feel like in the entire National Football League. Is this going to be a Travis Hunter game where you kind of depend him, where if he lines up on your side, you try to keep up with him? We saw Travis Hunter being showcased against Xavier Worthy, was step for step with him on a couple go routes and everything, really showcased his skill set. How much will Travis Hunter be relied now on defense to try to shut down this pretty explosive, pass game with the Seahawks?
I think that might be something to watch for early in this game, because we've only seen Travis Hunter play left corner when the Jaguars went to a nickel package. Could that change today because of the talent of Smith-Njigba? Could that also change because you traded Tyson Campbell away? Could Travis Hunter get some reps in base downs? I don't know the answer to that, but that's something that we need to watch for. And here's the reality. Travis Hunter is the best cover corner that the Jaguars have. And if I'm playing man, okay, I want Travis Hunter on Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Logs, when you look at the matchup between the quarterbacks, at this point in Sam Darnold's career, he was on his second team when you compare him to where Trevor is in year 5, would be on his third team the following year, then his fourth team last year before it finally clicked in his 7th NFL season. Is there I think Trevor Lawrence has done a lot more in his first 4+ years than Sam Darnold has, but is there hope there that in watching that example, Trevor can take his game to even bigger heights?
Well, you hope so, and a lot of credit goes to Sam Darnold, right? I mean, heck, you go back 3rd overall pick in 18 with the Jets, and then he goes on to Carolina, then San Francisco, and then Minnesota, is where he kind of breaks out a little bit. And give him credit. This year, the way he's managing the pocket for the Seahawks has been impressive. 3rd-rated passer. I mean, all those statistics that tell you he's a really good football player. And, yes, you hope that Trevor can have some of that, as he develops more and more and more because, look, there's not a lot of patience for quarterbacks, and there's not a lot of patience overall in the National Football League because, it's a lot easier to fire somebody to save your own rear end, to continue on and move to the next guy and then maybe get a little bit of grace and patience out of the next guy. But the great thing is that Trevor is linked to this franchise for the foreseeable future, and he's got a work ethic that I think is outstanding. He's smart. He's mature. He's got all the traits that you like. So I think all of those things are going for Trevor, and you want to see that start to evolve.
Jeff, when you see Sam Darnold and where he excels in this offense, he gets the ball out quickly. And it almost reminds me of like when we used to game plan against Tom Brady, who was one of the most frustrating quarterbacks to play against, not because he's the GOAT, but because he gets the ball out quickly. And as a pass rusher, it frustrates you. So, what do you think the game plan has to be now if you're the Jaguars' defensive line?
No, you're right, and that Sam gets it out pretty quickly, but, man, Austen, nobody got it out like Tom Brady.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And Sam does a really good job, but what Sam does, like I mentioned before, that pocket management, he does a really good job of just moving a little bit here and there, and one of the greatest at it, in my opinion, I played against him was Dan Marino. Just when you thought you had a beat on him, then all of a sudden he shuffles one way, buys an extra split second, then makes the completion. And I see some of the same traits with Sam Darnold, and you've got to take some shots at him. And last week, or actually this week on Monday night, I don't think the Jaguars defense did a very good job at pressuring Patrick Mahomes. And obviously he's very special and very unique because he can extend the play, and he does, and then he gets out of the pocket and does things with his legs, but that's not Sam Darnold. But he manages the pocket well. But the Jaguars up front, they've got to be better in today's game than they were on Monday night, without a doubt.
All right, Logs, thanks so much. Have a great broadcast today.
Thank you, boys.
And up next, the second hour of the Publix Tailgate Show, guys. Have a great rest of your morning. And the top stories of the day with JP are coming up next. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's here that a tiny newborn has the heart surgery needed to save her life. It's here that a first grader learns to speak clearly and confidently. It's here that a 12-year-old athlete builds the strength to run full speed again. It's here at Wolfson Children's Hospital that answers are found, courage is shown, and odds are beaten every day. Wolfson Children's, always here. Visit wolfsonchildrens.com.
To everyone who craves a fresh meal made just for you, let our team member Jacob share what's special about Culver's.
In Wisconsin, our food comes from the heart, and taking the time to handcraft your meal with care is how we've always done it at Culver's. It's why your Butterburger doesn't touch the grill until after you order.
Come to Culver's and let us serve you a Butterburger, made special just for you. From Wisconsin with love, welcome to Delicious.
Jags fans, this one's for you. If you've got MyGate rewards, you're already in the game. But now you've got a shot at the ultimate prize, meeting QB1 himself, Trevor Lawrence, at Everbank Stadium with 3 friends by your side. With the MyGate Rewards Gatorade Club, every 5 Gatorade items you purchase equals 1 entry toward your chance to win. Stack them up and score big. See store for details. Gear up for the season. Gates got you.
2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Brought to you by FDOT.
Ride Now Jacksonville's second annual Bike Bash is Saturday, November 22nd from noon till 5. Enter to win a 2024 Kawasaki Ninja E1 ABS. Registration is free and you must be present to win. Go to ridenowjacksonville.com for more details. The first 25 people through the doors snag a free Kawasaki swag bag, plus food trucks, live music, vendors, and giveaways. Check out the all-new 2025 Ninja lineup from 500S to ZX10S. Ready to let the good times roll. Don't miss it. November 22nd, only at Ride Now Jacksonville.
Hey, fellow Floridians, it's Ben.
And Brianna Smith. We are foodies who love sharing recipes online.
And trying new cooking techniques on our new natural gas stove.
He loves his precise temperature control on the heat.
Yeah, I also love saving money and using less energy.
Oh, watch that flame.
So, who loves to be in control?
Now earn up to a $300 cashback rebate for installing a new energy-efficient natural gas range or stovetop. To learn more, go to peoplesgas.com/rebates.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
It is hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. It is week 6, 2 hours away from the Seattle Seahawks at 3-2 and the Jacksonville Jaguars at 4-1. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff time at the bank. And today's game is presented by Florida Blue, proud to be the exclusive health insurance provider and support the Jacksonville community as the official community partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey, Austen Lane, Hyundai Studios, Miller Electric Center. Perfect day at the bank. And the Jaguars have the best record or tied for it in all of football right now.
Gotta love it. I'm glad, Austin, we talked about it a little bit. The sun is shining. I think this is a day you want your passing game to get going, right? Yeah. Seattle's used to that gloomy, rain-soaked atmosphere. We didn't want them to feel at home coming down here, man. Let them wonder what that big yellow ball in the sky looks like.
Without a doubt, right? And I think it feels a little different coming here to the stadium today. A lot more people out and about, tailgate and everything. I had breakfast sausage tickling my nostrils, and when I walked to the stadium this morning, like, people are out and about, man. And it's cool to see. You feel like the energy and the tide is just kind of shifting now with all these Jaguars wins.
Well, let's get into some of the best sound of the week. Of course, game day weather brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Water last perfect conditions, 70 degrees, high of 79 today, sunny skies, and the Jags are 4-1. But head coach Liam Cohen knows they can be better in all phases.
There's definitely some feelings in the building over the last few days of knowing that we have not still put out 60 minutes of our best football. I think specifically on the defensive side, there was some frustrations in some of the things that we gave up, and specifically in the run game, that we didn't probably have our best efforts, something that we had been doing at a pretty good level there. And then same thing offensively, right? We punted twice, but we had the fumble at the end, at the goal line there, and then the turnover that we got to continue to try to take care of the football at a higher click. And I think they just know that there was some meat left on the bone even after a really cool win.
It's a good place to be when the team's 4-1 and still not satisfied, right?
It's wild because if you take that press conference after the Chiefs game and everything, and you delete like the first 3 minutes of it and you just play it, it sounds like they lost by 50, right? Like he's very critical. Accountability is obviously absolute with him, and it's refreshing to see because I'm going to be honest. This is why I can't be a coach. If I'm 4-1 right now, and like I see everybody else as a rookie coach doing their thing, I'd be going to Shad saying, "Hey, where's my statue?" Like I'm 4-1 right now, and he's not doing that. Like this guy is never satisfied. You see with some of the transactions being made now with Tyson Campbell going to Cleveland, like this team is just constantly trying to get better and holding themselves accountable.
And I think too, when you look up and you see that you are tied for the best record, and there's no one dominant team, there's no one team that you go, that's the one you got to look out for. I think the Jags are probably thinking maybe we're a little ahead of where we expected to be in terms of being competitive in the AFC. So if that's the case, let's keep making these moves. Let's not settle for maybe just sneaking in as a wild card. Let's try to win this division, take down the Colts, and just keep stacking them.
They still need production, certainly, to do that from the quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, he had a gutsy performance in the win on Monday night. But now it's about moving on quickly from the short week.
That's part of this league. Like, you got to be able to, move on quickly. So I've had experience with that over the past few years. And I'd say physically, obviously, playing a Monday night game, it is a quicker turnaround. You lose, almost 2 days. So it's just trying to take care of your bodies and get ready to go. Today's a Wednesday, and we got to prepare for Seattle. It's really less than 2 days after our game. So that is always a little bit of a challenge, but everyone has to do it. Everybody plays Monday night games. So it's just something that comes with the territory.
I mean, the Monday night game was the full Trevor Lawrence experience. Some good, some questionable decisions, some great throws down the stretch, and then the stumble-rooski to win it. That's a Trevor Lawrence night in a nutshell.
Well, look, two of the most memorable performances of his career are like that, right? The Chargers playoff game dug him a big hole and filled it in and helped him climb out of it. So there is some of the good with the bad. You like to get Austen to the point where you're not getting as many mental miscues, but if you overcome them, that's the difference between this team. Yeah. Last 10 years, very few of those Jaguar additions would have won a game like that.
No, without a doubt. And it is, as we were calling it, the Trevor Lawrence experience, and it's definitely a ride that I'm looking forward to taking again this Sunday. But here's the beautiful part about it. It works if you have the support of not having penalties, self-inflicted penalties, if you have the support of your defense. And I think against Kansas City, you start to see that, right? Where we start talking about your identity 4 or 5 weeks into the season. Well, getting penalties, self-inflicted wounds was a big part of your identity. You change that against Kansas City. Your defense still has your back. Now, can you keep that rolling against Seattle?
Now to the running game for the Jaguars. It helped they could get some of that going, of course. It's a test this week, though, against the third-ranked rushing defense in the NFL with the Seahawks. Running back Travis Etienne Jr. explains where it begins.
Defensive front, I feel like they present a lot of different formations, and just those guys up there, they're very stout, and you're not getting much movement on them. So it's going to be a really tough challenge to just go out there. And we got to go out there and take it. But we know it starts with them in the trenches, and that's why they're so good at stopping the run.
Yeah, I don't know if you run straight at this team today. Get wide is probably the best advice, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would try to rely on that speed a little bit. And even like in the short pass game, right? I mean, you have Tootin, who's very capable. Obviously, Travis Etienne is as well. Like, keep this defense guessing, because if they get comfortable and they shut that run game down, they can pin back their ears and get after Trevor Lawrence then.
Yeah, not much to add to that, right? You don't want to run through the teeth of Byron Murphy, Jaron Reed, Leonard Williams. So if you can get them on the edge, you're going to have to test them a little bit. You got to make them play honestly. But, I think Austin's point about, the short passing game, just use that as an extension of your running game today.
Wide receiver and cornerback Travis Hunter put together his best game as a pro last week against the Chiefs, but he's still looking for his first touchdown in the NFL, but he's not pressing the issue.
Those type of things you just got to leave up to God, and you just got to continue to just be faithful, and the time is going to be right when it's time. So you just got to continue to just strive for greatness every day and continue to just be blessed and continue to just go out there and work.
A few big plays on the big stage on Monday night for him, which was a good step in the progression. And there's no rule book on this. Like, you're just going to keep building his stamina, and the production is going to come at some point.
Yeah, I mean, what he's really doing, though, it's not fair, right? Because I wish it was an easy decision to say, okay, well, he's struggling as a corner, so let's put him more on offense. Well, he's struggling on offense, let's put him more on corner. Like, he's playing both positions very well. Anytime the ball is in his hands, great things have happened. And then when he's running step for step on a go route with like Xavier Worthy, obviously he's a pretty good cover corner as well. So, like, now you have the Seahawks coming into town. Well, do you put him more on a jigba? You put him more on defense. Or, well, you can probably pass against this Seahawks defense. Do you put him more on offense?
Right, and that's a great guessing game, though, for the Seahawks as well. How are the Jags going to utilize him? No question about it. Look, when you throw the ball to him, good things are happening. Right, so I think everybody would like to see more of those opportunities, whether that's that jump ball that he catches and with great body control, or we've seen it consecutive weeks, a little ball in the flat, he makes two guys miss and picks up a first down. So I think the Jags need to make a concerted effort to get it to him more consistently.
Fantasy players rejoice.
For he and BTJ today, and the opportunity is there.
There's shots maybe down the field against this group today. Now to the defense, the Jaguars defensive group said they were angry with the performance last week against the Chiefs, even though they got the win. They nearly gave up 500 yards. Defensive end Josh Hines-Allen explained.
We pride ourselves on being the best team, stopping the run, and that's something that we didn't do against a good offense, nevertheless. But still, our standard is our standard, and we're happy to be 4-1. But I know individual guys feel like they didn't play to their standard that we know we can play as, including myself. Again, we are Pistons, but we're all looking forward to the next opportunity. Great challenge for us up front and in the back end as well. I think they do a good job on kind of balancing the run and play action really well.
All right, that's the approach from Josh Hines-Allen today and this group as a whole. And, they're leading the league in takeaways, but when they give up the yardage they did last week, they want some improvement there.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge, too, because Kenneth Walker, I think, is one of the most underrated running backs in the entire National Football League. They do use Zach Charbonnet a little bit as well, but Walker is really the straw that stirs the drink and everything, which is ironic because Charbonnet sounds like a sparkling beverage. And then you talk about their wide receivers. Smith and Jigba is one of the best wide receivers in the league, and Cooper Kupp, who, if you're on social media, was supposed to come here, so we were told, goes to Seattle, can still do it at a pretty high level, but obviously this is going to be through the running game, and I think Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I think so much focused on Jackson Smith and Jigba that you're right. You got to focus on slowing down Walker and Charbonnet. Those two guys for Kansas City last week had more success running against the Jags than they've had against almost any team so far this year. You can't let that become a trend.
Linebacker Foye Oluokun talking about the challenge of Sam Darnold this week, one of the most accurate passers in the National Football League, especially when he's on the move.
You got a plaster, but we got to keep him in the pocket, really finish the rushes, make sure we bring him down when we get our hands on him. And then in the coverage part, making sure that when he does break contain, staying in the plaster, we call it. Yeah, we experienced some of it last game, but we could do better at it for sure.
You mentioned the run game, but the play action big for this group as well to get him out on the edge and then throw it down the field. 73% passing this year for Sam Darnold. Second straight year, Mike, he's been on a roll.
Yeah, look, he's been a different player. His first 6 years, though, in the NFL, he was kind of a journeyman, right? And couldn't figure it out, had a lot of talent. And here he is at the age of 28, and you feel like, wow, he's playing like one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League. The completion percentage, the quarterback rating. But if you hit him, he's like any other quarterback, right? It's this team that made him see ghosts infamously a few years back, right? I mean, that's what you've got to see if you can pull out of Sam Darnold, have him start to question himself a little bit.
And listen, I still have PTSD from playing against a QB coach team in the Houston Texans back when I played. I mean, they're just, and you see the same thing in Seattle. They run the football well, and then they set the play action up with that run. Everything looks exactly the same. So as a defender, it's so hard to get your keys on them, what they're trying to do, because, well, when you see the same formations, all looks the same.
And linebacker Devin Lloyd off to an unreal start. Of course, 5 takeaways for the season, including 4 interceptions in the first 5 weeks. He knows what it takes to keep this pace as a team.
Everybody's just got to stay hungry, and I think that'll be pretty easy considering we know as a defense we were far from our best. We were able to do enough to get a win. I think offense played a hell of a game. And so, for us, I think it's just getting back to the basics. We got to be a lot better on defense, and we got a good opponent that we got to do it against. So it's going to start with practice.
5 weeks, 5 takeaways for Lloyd. Let's keep it going today, right?
I mean, yeah, right. Look, he's one of the leading contenders for Defensive Player of the Year, which is absolutely amazing because we've talked about this in the last few weeks. It was just a month and a half ago that the Jags were listing him as a co-starter with Ventrell Miller, and now he's become the most important player, the most impactful player that they've had on defense all year.
It's really insane because nobody expected this, right? I mean, I was under the campaign of, okay, well, is Ventrell Miller going to take some of his reps in the preseason and eventually lead towards the regular season? And now, like you mentioned it, he might be the Defensive Player of the Year so far in this National Football League. So I think what you have to do going forward now, and what he did so great in that Kansas City game, it's the eye discipline, right? He literally just followed Patrick Mahomes' eyes to the interception, taking 99 yards, scored a touchdown. You got to have that same discipline now against Seattle because, once again, that play action is going to kind of keep you off your game a little bit.
There you have it, some of the best sound of the week. This is the Crucial Catch game today. The Tom Coughlin J Fund will be well represented before the game. 41 childhood cancer patients and their families will be recognized on the field today just prior to the national anthem. And then, yes, the first Duval chant will be done today by J Fund patient Mila, who is 12 years of age. So looking forward to that today. Josh Hines-Allen, his son Wesley, is the honorary captain for the Jaguars today as well after his fight, getting to ring the bell just a few weeks ago. So plenty on the docket today for the Crucial Catch game. Stadium navigation update. Construction continues, of course. Gates 1 and 4 are now super gates. Access to the fan entertainment zone from both sides now and Daly's Place. The ramps inside Gate 1 are coming down, so the grand staircase or the escalators in the south end will get you to the main concourse. We're closing in on inactives, about 15 minutes away. We'll come back with a look around the National Football League and a Seahawks view from Seahawks radio analyst Dave Wyman. It's the Seahawks and the Jaguars at 1 o'clock. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow! Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Florida Blue presents game-changing health solutions. Did you know you can relieve stress by doing yoga at a Florida Blue center? And exhale. Treating yourself to Florida Blue discounts. Seeing a chiropractor covered by Florida Blue. Having your own Florida Blue health consultant.
Welcome.
Or cheering on your team right now. Discover more game-changing health solutions at FloridaBlue.com. Florida Blue is a trade name of Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Florida, Inc.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
A bold change. A historic development is underway for the Bold City, and the Jacksonville Jaguars and team partners are a part of it. Introducing First and Forward, a development partner program highlighting the significant contributions made toward the transformative efforts to the city of Jacksonville. Thank you, Belter, Brooks Building Solutions, Jackson Electric Supply, Office Images, Sims Crane, Start Tech, and People's Gas. Championing progress on the field and in the community. The First and Forward program. The First Coast Forward Together. To learn more, visit Jaguars.com/forward together.
Yuengling Traditional Lager, a beer that, like true legends, stands the test of time. Brewed by the same family for nearly 200 years, it's a crisp amber lager with a bold, smooth flavor that's perfect for game day. Whether you're cheering from the stands or watching from your favorite bar, Yuengling is the taste of tradition. Yuengling, legends stand the test of time.
Federal employees keep our country going, and GEHA is proud to keep them going with health plans exclusively for them. We were started by postal employees in 1937, and today we offer all federal employees a network of 1.7 million providers and a health plan for every stage of life. That's why we've been trusted by millions of federal employees and retirees across the country since 1937. GEHA. Find your federal health plan at GEHA.com.
JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey, and Austen Lane from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center. The Publix Tailgate Show continues inside 2 hours until Week 6. The Seattle Seahawks at 3-2 and the Jacksonville Jaguars at 4-1. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff time at Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville. And let's go around the National Football League.
All right, we'll start in London, where it's mostly a field goal fest. The Denver Broncos lead the New York Jets 10-9. Nate Atkins with a receiving touchdown of 16 yards from Bo Nix, the only TD in the game. Denver with the lead there, 10:25 remaining in the third quarter, and the Broncos just about to get the ball after another Jets field goal. The 4-1 Indianapolis Colts tied atop the AFC South with the Jacksonville Jaguars at home today as they host the 2-3 Cardinals. Arizona, though, will be without quarterback Kyler Murray, who's dealing with a foot sprain. Veteran journeyman Jacoby Brissett, who played for the Colts a few years back, gets a start for Arizona today. The 1-4 Tennessee Titans look to make it 2 in a row as they're in Las Vegas to take on the equally 1-4 Raiders. Vegas on a 4-game slide following a season-opening win over New England. That includes a 40-6 blowout at the hands of Indy last week. And speaking of the Titans, free agent wide receiver Treylon Burks planning to take a visit to Denver among other stops. The 25-year-old Burks was an all-SEC receiver at Arkansas. The Titans made him the 18th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, but He only has 53 catches for 699 yards and 1 touchdown in his career to this point. Tennessee waived Burks last week after he was medically cleared to return from a broken collarbone, and that pick was the centerpiece in the deal that sent A.J. Brown to Philadelphia. The 2-3 Houston Texans on a bye. They'll travel to Seattle to play the Seahawks next week. 40-year-old Joe Flacco will start at quarterback for Cincinnati today, less than 1 week after being traded to the team from Cleveland. The Bengals are in Green Bay to take on the Packers. Flacco today tries to become just the second quarterback to defeat a team twice in the same season with 2 different clubs. He's expected to have Jamar Chase to throw to, despite the wide receiver being listed as questionable with an illness. It was back in 1962, as JP told me firsthand, that Jack Kemp beat the New York Titans, now the Jets. He was the starter for the Chargers, and they got traded to the Bills that year. It's the only time a QB has beaten the same team twice while playing for 2 different squads in the same year. Former Jaguars quarterback Mac Jones will get his 4th start of the season as he leads the 4-1 49ers into Tampa to take on the 4-1 Buccaneers. Despite a 3-0 starting record this year with Jones at the helm, San Francisco GM John Lynch says no quarterback controversy brewing in the Bay Area. Brock Purdy will retake the starting reins once he is healthy enough to play. And some of the big-name players that have already been ruled out of this week's action due to injury, including the Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, Raiders tight end Brock Bowers, 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy, and wide receiver Ricky Pearsall, and the Bucs trio of wide receivers Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and running back Bucky Irving, all unavailable today for Tampa Bay.
I got to tell you, I didn't think Jack Kemp was going to come up in this
there you go.
broadcast today.
You don't get many former quarterback congressmen.
Yeah, he was a U.S. representative, wasn't he?
For years.
Yeah. Long time.
Probably decades.
Right.
Honestly.
But what a pull, man.
How about that?
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Joe Flacco, who I feel like is kind of like the goodwill quarterback now of the AFC North. I mean, just kind of getting used by every single team. Maybe eventually the Steelers might give him a call as well. And then he can, finish the gambit.
In all seriousness, don't you have to respect a guy who could sit on the sideline, hold a clipboard for a lot of clubs, and never take a hit? And he just wants to play. He just wants to go out there and play football. So good for him.
There you have it. A look around the National Football League. Good news. If the Jaguars score in the 3rd quarter during today's game, you score free cheese curds, courtesy of Culver's. Keep listening to today's broadcast for more information. And let's get a view of the opponent today, the Seattle Seahawks 3-2. Dave Wyman has been the radio analyst for the Seahawks since 2017. The former linebacker, a second-round pick of the Seahawks out of Stanford in '87. Played 6 years in Seattle, 3 more in Denver. He had plenty to say in our conversation this week about the Seahawks offense and how Sam Darnold is working.
Yeah, it's really interesting kind of especially the matchup last week of 2 sort of quarterbacks that lost their way and, then got into a system that really helped them. And that's really what's been the key, I think, for Sam Darnold. And, I was just going to do like a breakdown of him from the game the other day. His pocket awareness is amazing. And that's one of the hardest things to do, as a quarter. I wouldn't know because I played linebacker, but, you've got the sort of your whole world crashing around you. You've got defensive linemen and these big fire-breathing dragons, pass rushing these days, and you still have to keep your eyes downfield. And that's what he does really well. Like he just kind of feels the pocket, finds the open crease, and then, delivers the ball. And he's been very accurate. He had a couple of plays that were, that kind of lost games, but it wasn't his fault. I mean, he gets pushed into and fumbles the ball in game 1 against San Francisco. And then this last week he got hit, ball skips off of a helmet, and then, he throws an interception. So there's a little bit of criticism for him because of that, but I don't think those were his fault. And he looks like the good Sam Darnold that everybody has seen.
Dave Wyman with us, Seahawks radio analyst. I called a game of Kenneth Walker III in college at Michigan State where he scored 5 touchdowns in a game. Not quite, it was against Michigan. He's not quite to that level, but where is the run game for Seattle that helps balance all this out?
Yeah, I think it's still a work in progress. And really, I think K9 is the one that has stepped up and, kind of shown to be the number one. There are lots of times where I look at Zach Charbonnet, the kid out of UCLA, and go, he might be a better back, and I as a former linebacker, he's a guy that can humiliate you. If you try to take him on and you're, a little bit light in your stance, you're going to get run over. No linebacker wants that. So, they're kind of going back and forth. It'd be nice to know who the sort of bell cow is, but I think it's working itself out. I think there's a lot more good things to come in the run game, but I'd say so far it's been just okay.
Dave, let's touch on this defense here and the run defense. I mean, the Jaguars are running the ball pretty well, but this is a group that really seems to make an emphasis early in the game that nothing's getting past the front seven. How are they so effective against the run?
Well, first of all, you just got 3 bullies up front, 4 really if you count Derek Hall. But you got Jaron Reed, and you got Big Cat and Byron Murphy, the first rounder from a couple years ago. And those guys, typically that was the problem against Tampa Bay. They didn't get much pressure with just rushing 4, and they've kind of just rushed 4. But as far as stopping the run, those guys are just, you can't double team them. Most of those 3 guys all can beat double teams, and I've seen them do that pretty consistently this year. So then you got a really instinctive linebacker in the middle, Ernest Jones, and he's a great leader. So yeah, the defense really struggled last week, though. They did have a lot of backups in, and they were missing 2 of their better players, Julian Love and Devin Witherspoon. So those guys aren't, they'll play up in the box every once in a while, but they just missed those guys. And I thought some of the backups for the Seahawks kind of showed why they were backups.
What is the outside view, or at least the Pacific Northwest view of the Jaguars now at 4-1? What stands out the most?
That they're a problem, and we were all checking off our win-loss before the season. And, of course, Jacksonville is a W. And now all of a sudden you're looking at it going, oh, man. My very first time broadcasting with Rabel, who's the voice of the Seahawks, was 2017 in Jacksonville. And it kind of reminds me of that team a little bit in that, they'd had poor records leading up to it and just had been just drafting baller after baller after baller. And then, they end up making it to the AFC Championship game against New England and lost that one. But it kind of that's what Jacksonville kind of looks like to me right now. You've got the linebacker Lloyd, who has 4 interceptions. That's more than I had in my whole career. So and he's done it in 5 games or 4 games. So anyway, yeah, it looks like you just have a bunch of really good players, and kind of reminds me of that time in Jaguar history where, it was like the compilation of just a number of, top 10, top 15 picks in the draft.
It's Dave Wyman, the exclusive extended interview with the Seahawks radio analyst and others today on the official Jaguars Podcast Network. Subscribe free wherever you download podcasts. Time for some keys to victory. Austen Lane, how did the Jaguars move to 5-1 with a win over the Seahawks?
Everyone's talking about the mentality of this, right? Seattle's coming from the West Coast to the East Coast. Jacksonville's coming off a very emotional win against the Kansas City Chiefs. I hate to break it to you, football's always an emotional game, right? So I don't buy into the whole narrative of, okay, are they going to underperform now? I think they have the coach in place to make them accountable and play at a very high level. So this game really comes down to Trevor Lawrence now and what he finds in the pass game, right? And I think with the loss of Brenton Strange, which is huge for the next couple months or so, someone's got to step up, right? We saw Brian Thomas Jr. start to step up a little bit in that Chiefs game. Can he keep producing? Can he kind of put, the pass behind him now and really be that dependable number 1 receiver? And do we see more Travis Hunter today as well? They're very comparable teams. Seattle's got, a team that wants to run the football. The Jaguars want to run the football. But at the end of the day, man, I'm going to take the mentality of Jacksonville to hopefully get this thing done.
All right. There you have it. Have a great day.
Appreciate you, man. I'll
Good
see
to
you guys
see
out there.
All right. Get a win today.
You get a win today. I'm going to go have some breakfast sausage in the parking lot.
Go for it.
It smelled way too good walking in here, man.
Bring some up.
Yeah. Don't judge me about anything, okay?
No, not at all. I would do the same thing.
Sounds good, man.
Have a good one. Austen Lane joining us each and every week on the Publix Tailgate Show. Up next, we'll have the inactives. And yes, a pregame conversation with Kainani Stevens and John Ozier. And we're closing in an hour and a half now from the 1 o'clock kickoff time for the Seahawks and the Jaguars in Week 6. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio. The kick is up. It's good!
Field goals for Firehouse Subs are back. That means when the Jags score from deep, you do too. Anytime the Jags score a field goal that's 40 yards or more, you can get a free medium sub with the purchase of any other medium sub online or in the app for 4 days following the game. So cheer on the Jags, watch for the big kicks, and get your buy one, get one free medium sub at participating Firehouse Subs throughout Jacksonville when you use the app. The hottest subs in Duval. See firehousesubs.com for offer terms.
Florida Blue presents game-changing health solutions. Did you know you can relieve stress by
doing yoga at a Florida Blue center,
And exhale.
treating yourself to Florida Blue discounts, seeing a chiropractor covered by Florida Blue, having your own Florida Blue health consultant,
Welcome.
or cheering on your team right now. Discover more game-changing health solutions at FloridaBlue.com. Florida Blue is a trade name of Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Florida, Inc.
Restaurant Orsay is a bustling French-American bistro focusing on classic French techniques with their chefs incorporating a traditional Southern influence. Celebrate life's special moments or just relax and enjoy their daily happy hour. Restaurant Orsay also offers full-service catering for any of your event needs. Restaurant Orsay, located in historic Avondale at 3630 Park Street. Visit www.restaurantorsay.com.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Feeling hungry, Jaguars fans? Fuel your Duval energy with a delicious Stahlmeyer all-beef hot dog on game day as you support your Jacksonville Jaguars. Whether you're at the game or at home, it's not game day without a Stahlmeyer all-beef hot dog made in Florida. Stahlmeyer all-beef hot dogs will fuel your energy to help bring on a victory for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Stahlmeyer all-beef hot dogs are available at your local Publix supermarkets. Don't feel hungry, Jaguars fans. Fuel your energy with the official hot dog of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Stahlmeyer.
Look closely at the Ford F-150, and you'll see more than just a truck. You'll see hard work, a great adventure, and so much more. Inside and out, it's designed for the family, the road trip, and the most demanding job. Just another reason why Ford F-Series has been the best-selling truck in America for 48 straight years. The Ford F-150. It's time to see Ford in a new light. Come in today for a great deal on a 2025 Ford F-150. Only at your local Ford dealer.
JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center. It's the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. The Seahawks 3-2, the Jaguars 4-1. It's Week 6, Everbank Stadium, Jacksonville, the site. Beautiful sunsplash day. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff time. And today's game is presented by Florida Blue, proud to be the exclusive health insurance provider and support the Jacksonville community as the official community partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. The inactives are in, and here are the players down today for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Khalif Halassi, the safety, is not playing today. Cody Schrader added back to the active roster, but inactive for today's game. Yasir Abdullah, linebacker, is out again today. Robert Hainsey, offensive lineman, the center, will not play today. So Jonah Monheim expected to get the start today. His first in his NFL career, played well down the stretch in last week's game in relief of Hainsey, who has a hamstring issue. And then Colin Saunders, senior, the defensive tackle, inactive again for the Jaguars today. Mike?
All right, for the Seahawks, it's the guys that were doubtful that you were keeping an eye on in that secondary, and all three of those players are out today. Reek Woolen had already been downgraded to out prior to today. Devin Witherspoon and Julian Love join him as inactives today. Offensive lineman Josh Jones had already been ruled out for this game as well. Linebacker Derek Hall will not suit up. Nick Callerup, a tight end reserve, is not available. And Jalen Milroe will act as the third emergency quarterback for Seattle.
There you have it. The inactives are in. And from the backyard to the beaches, the Ford F-150 with available Pro Power on board gives you the power of a mobile generator. Ford, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. See your local Ford dealer today. Let's head to Everbank Stadium and welcome in Jaguars reporter Kanani Stevens, Jaguars.com senior writer John Ozier. They are inside the Heritage of North Florida broadcast booth for the Seahawks and the Jaguars. Perfect day for football and a fantastic matchup today. Good morning. How are we doing?
Good morning. It is perfect outside. I don't use that term loosely at all. I don't think it's, this is another argument. Football weather is a little colder for me normally, but this is perfect to sit out as a fan and watch this game today.
Yeah, even I'm in a good mood, JP.
Wow.
What about that?
Whoa.
That's how good the weather is.
Hold the phone. Wait a minute. This is.
Never mind, I'm not.
Okay, now of course not. I figured not. All right, so let's start with the inactives today. Hainsey's down. Monheim is in. This is a group the last 2 weeks, the offensive line, that have had backup players come in mid-game cold and play well. And it seems in a lot of ways that this group has defined success when it is there for the offense this season.
Yeah, it's been remarkable. An area that was an area of focus, and not only have the starters played well, the mark of a really good offensive line is when you lose guys or you have guys in and out and you don't really notice. And that was what Jonah Monheim was last week. And, from talking to people inside the building, Kai, there is zero concern about Jonah Monheim today. And I mean, obviously the rookie thing, there's a little, okay, we're going to watch the rookie. But this guy's going to start on this team eventually, and I they expect him to play well.
I think that's part of what we talked about on Jags AM is, drafting to have them play and contribute right away. That was the plan long term, of course. They have Hainsey here and not trying to replace anybody. But if they need be, which it has arisen, he's able to step in Jonah Monheim and be effective right out of the gate. Add a new position for him as well at center. I think also we've heard the term versatility a lot, but to see it actually kind of come to fruition, right? You've heard, he can play anywhere on the line, but now it's getting to the point, as John mentioned, where someone can go in at guard or tackle and move people around, and you do not notice. Like, they've been able to protect Trevor very well. The run game has been consistent, and to have the true versatility that this offensive line has is something we have not seen here in quite some time.
And one thing to remember, guys, about Monheim, if they had been worried about Monheim as a rookie center, he would have been inactive in the first 4 or 5 games. When when you have him up, you're one snap away at that position. So it's a little bit of a different dynamic with other linemen. They're very comfortable with him playing. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Just wanted to move it on to Trevor Lawrence here, coming off a very impressive performance. A little bit of a slow start on Monday night. Jags found themselves in a 14-0 hole. Is the momentum from week to week real, though? Because, last week was a lot of relying on his running ability. Today looks like a day he's going to have to take advantage of a depleted secondary for Seattle.
If he plays well in the first quarter, it's real. If he does, it's so week to week, but I do think that there is confidence to be gained. And I don't know if it's momentum, but there was a different feel in terms of, after a couple of mistakes the other night, it just kind of felt, Kai, like he said, you know what, enough's enough. I mean, I'm going to figure out a way to win this, and it really doesn't matter how it looks. And, you want it to look better in the passing game, and I think it has to going forward. But I think that part does carry forward.
And you can tell that the momentum for Trevor when he's feeling that in a game does carry over for him because he gets kind of in a zone. And I think what John mentioned as well, he's not putting pressure on himself to say, I have to make these exact throws. Like, it's not there, I'm going to run, get myself first down, then I can kind of recalibrate, restart, get this offense going in a different way. And having that flexibility now in the offense, maybe he didn't have that in the past. It was more make this throw here. So he has that flexibility now. And listen, it was ugly. He fell down a couple times before he made it into the end zone. Still 6 points, I appreciate it. I appreciate finding a way and winning when you're not playing your best. That is something that good football teams do, and they've done that so far through the first 5 weeks.
Kanani Stevens, John Oehser joining us from the broadcast booth at Everbank Stadium ahead of the Seahawks-Jaguars matchup, and now to this Jaguars defensive matchup today against the Seahawks offense that is running at a very high clip this year. They can run the ball effectively. The play-action game is there. Sam Darnold is one of the most consistent passers in the league this year, 73%. And it's amazing, this has become not only just a one-off, but it's kind of a trend in the league now. Baker Mayfield, retread, couple different spots, former high pick, now having success. And now Sam Darnold, for the second straight year, on a different team, is having it as well. Is this just a blip, or is this like a trend for the future?
Oh, I think it's going to be a trend for the future because I think the league is set up right now where there is so much focus and such a quick trigger reaction. Liam talked about it a little bit. I'm sure you guys heard it. But there's such a quick trigger reaction to these early picks that I don't think there's any question there's going to be a trend of, okay, the fans and the team gave up on this guy after 15 games as a starter or whatever the number is as a starter. there's absolutely going to be teams who can go to their fan base now, which that's a part of it for some teams, and say, hey, we can pick up this, quote, retread. They won't call it a retread in the presser, Kai.
Okay, I hope not.
But and they can sell that because Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield made it work. It's such a copycat league. I don't think there's any question you're going to see that.
There's a couple aspects to it. I love to see it because I love an underdog story, right? When you can see someone that maybe hasn't had the best situation, they go, a change of scenery can do wonders, and getting a right fit for somebody. We've seen that, obviously. Liam Cohen talked a little bit about his time with Baker, touched on, high expectations that if you don't come out and completely light the world on fire your first rookie year, then people feel like you're a failure just because of the position you're drafted in. That's not always realistic. It's just not. I know quarterback's a position that everybody has, very high expectations for, and that's fair. That's kind of how your football team goes, is how your quarterback goes. But to see these quarterbacks that, maybe were cast off before, also we talked about being able to go and maybe you're on practice squad, maybe you're the backup, you're going to these other environments until you're kind of getting more comfortable, and then you can be your best. There's so many talented players that have probably been, kind of brushed off to the side because they didn't have success right off the bat. So to be able to see that at the quarterback position, and as much as everybody switches at the quarterback position, that's clearly something we're going to see going forward.
Guys, we got used to high-level play from Brenton Strange for the first month of the season. How do they make up for his absence?
Well, I think it's got to be by committee, and I think it's got to be from other spots in the offense. I don't think you can realistically think they're going to be as good a run-blocking team at the tight end position as they were with Brenton Strange, because he's as good as there is right now in the league. I mean, he's playing at that high a level. They like Munt, they like Morris, and they like Hunter Long. Hunter Long's been a good player in the red zone for him. So I think they can do it by committee, but to me, he's one of the best 4 or 5 players on this team. And when you lose one of the best 4 or 5 players, you can't realistically replace that dynamic.
And it's tough because, as you mentioned, he does multiple things well. He's a pass catcher and he's a blocker. So it feels like you're almost doing it with a couple different people by committee or just kind of shifting the offense a little. I think sometimes Trevor can look to Brenton because he's the most confident that he's going to catch the football, right? We've been talking for weeks about needing to get Brian Thomas Jr. more involved earlier in the game, and Travis Hunter is evolving as well. I think maybe here's an opportunity today where the pass game should be there for them, and to get them all involved a little bit more and spread things out, because as much as the run game is good and we've established that early, they need to get the pass game going at some point, so maybe use this as an opportunity to find some different targets.
Yeah, guys, strange or no strange, you never know before a game. But to me, if they don't throw the ball well today, it's going to be really tough for them to win. They have to hit some big plays to me, and they have to have, I guess, maybe their best day in the passing game. I was going to say Trevor played well against Cincinnati and had drops. But overall, they have to have their best game in the passing game, to me, for them to win.
Yeah, front seven really strong and stout against the run for the Seahawks defense. Real quick on the Jags defense, how many takeaways today? We've come to the point where it's not if they're going to get takeaways, how many in this game?
They got Darnold 3 times last year, so
Just crazy.
He can be gotten, but I think they need at least one. So I'll go 2, Kai. Just for the sake of the segment, I'll go 2.
All right, I go 3 because
Okay.
I'm a one-upper, so why not?
Okay, well, I just got 1 up.
We'll hold you to it. We'll hold you to it today, both of you. Thanks a lot, y'all. Kai Stevens, John Ozier joining us from the broadcast booth. Catch them on Jags AM Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings on Jaguars.com. Skinner's coming home. They're bringing the stars and stripes with them. Celebrate Southern rock and American pride with Leonard Skinner. Rocks the red, white, and blue. A special night to support St. Michael's soldiers. It's Saturday, November 8th at Daly's Place. Get your tickets now at dailysplace.com or call 904-633-2000. We're closing in on Jaguars Radio Network coverage. Countdown to kickoff starts at noon. Up next, a fantasy forecast and Frank Frangie in the broadcast booth ahead of the Seahawks Jaguars in Week 6, a 1 o'clock kickoff time. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow! Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Florida Blue presents game-changing health solutions. Did you know you can relieve stress by doing yoga at a Florida Blue center and exhale, treating yourself to Florida Blue discounts, seeing a chiropractor covered by Florida Blue, having your own Florida Blue health consultant,
Welcome.
or cheering on your team right now? Discover more game-changing health solutions at FloridaBlue.com. Florida Blue is a trade name of Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Florida, Inc.
Jags fans, this season make your game day even tastier with Al's Pizza in the stadium, and then you can enjoy even more with the Al's Pizza Pickoff promo after the game. When the Jaguars get 2 interceptions in one game, you'll score 50% off one pizza, any size you want, for 48 hours after the game. Just tell them you want the Jags Pick promo when you order. Up your game and your pizza with Al's at the stadium or any of their 5 locations.
Is your organization ready to tackle its toughest challenges? For 3 decades, CSI Companies based in Jacksonville has been the trusted workforce partner for leading healthcare and technology providers nationwide. Whether finding the right talent for a specific job, advising on a strategic project, or offering seamless managed services, they tailor every solution to fit your needs. CSI brings trusted expertise and a people-first approach to your organization. Get the job done right. Together, we go further. Learn more at CSICompanies.com.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit DreamfindersHomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
A bold change. A historic development is underway for the Bold City, and the Jacksonville Jaguars and team partners are a part of it. Introducing First and Forward, a development partner program highlighting the significant contributions made toward the transformative efforts to the city of Jacksonville. Thank you, Belter, Brooks Building Solutions, Jackson Electric Supply, Office Images, Sims Crane, Start Tech, and People's Gas. Championing progress on the field and in the community. The First and Forward program. The First Coast Forward Together. To learn more, visit Jaguars.com/forward together. This is the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center. The Seattle Seahawks 3-2 and the Jacksonville Jaguars 4-1. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff time at Everbank Stadium. Today's game is presented by Florida Blue, proud to be the exclusive health insurance provider and support the Jacksonville community as the official community partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we're closing in on Countdown to Kickoff on the Jaguars Radio Network. Before that, let's get a fantasy forecast from Mike Dempsey.
All right, one game in progress in London. Not exactly an offensive showing here. 11-10, the Jets lead Denver. The Jets picking up a safety after Denver got penalized for holding in their own end zone. The lone touchdown came on a Bo Nix 16-yard pass to Nate Atkins. Nobody's playing Nate Atkins in their fantasy league. Nix has thrown for 125 yards with that score. He's also Denver's leading rusher. 3 carries for 26. J.K. Dobbins has 19, so nothing really doing on the ground for the Broncos. Evan Ingram, the former Jag, 4 catches for 30 yards, the leading receiver in this game. Justin Fields threw for a total of 17 yards in the first half. He's now up to a whopping 38 with seconds left in the third quarter. Breece Hall's run 17 times, 2.5 yards a pop, good for only 43. So nothing really doing that exciting fantasy-wise in this early game with about 1 quarter to go. Again, Jets leading at 11-10. Elsewhere in the early window today, we know that Kyler Murray has been ruled out for the Arizona Cardinals, so that's a blow for the Jags as they're taking on the Indianapolis Colts. We'll root for Jacoby Brissett, the former Colt, to help take down his former team. Zay Jones is active today for the Cardinals. He had been questionable coming in. L.A. Chargers at Miami. Quentin Johnston was questionable coming in, having a terrific season. He has been ruled out this morning. So Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey will lead the way in the receiving core for the Chargers. New England at New Orleans. Alvin Kamara dealing with a little bit of an injury. They say no big deal. He is active today. Should lead the backfield with Kendre Miller backing him up for the Saints. Calvin Austen III ruled out for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the only one of significance in the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game. Dallas and Carolina, a lot of guys not playing today. We knew CeeDee Lamb would be out. Kevontae Turpin misses another week. The Cowboys place Miles Sanders on injured reserve this weekend, so rookie Jaden Blue moves up to the number 2 spot behind Javonte Williams in that backfield. Chuba Hubbard has been ruled out for Carolina, so a revenge game narrative is shaping up for Rico Dowdle, who went over 200 yards last week, filling in for Hubbard. He gets another start today. Jatavian Sanders, Jalen Coker will not be active for the Panthers. LA Rams at Baltimore at 1 o'clock. No Lamar Jackson, although the Ravens will have Zay Flowers. Cooper Rush expected to get his second consecutive start. Tutu Atwell and Colby Parkinson ruled out for the Rams in that one. Guys, we're keeping an eye on this afternoon. We know the Raiders' Brock Bowers is not available. So get him out of your lineup if he's in there. Jamar Chase is questionable with an illness, expected, though, to be able to go for Cincinnati. Christian Watson had his practice window activated today. He's not ready to come off IR, so he's been ruled out for San Fran. Really, where the injuries are kicking in this afternoon, though, San Fran at Tampa Bay. Juwan Jennings is questionable to go. Mac Jones should start for the team. He was officially questionable, but no Brock Purdy, no Ricky Pearsall. George Kittle still not activated off IR. And on the Bucs side, no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin, no Bucky Irving. And despite that, they still put up 38 points last week with basically not much of a contribution from anybody except minimal from Chris Godwin. So, and nothing of note tonight for Sunday Night Football with the Lions at the Chiefs.
All right. The fantasy forecast is in. The Seahawks and the Jaguars coming up, and the Jags broadcast booth is presented by Heritage of North Florida, Jacksonville's premier roofing and remodeling company. Let's head there now at Everbank Stadium. Frank Franzi joining us on a picture-perfect day for football here on the First Coast. Sunny, and I think fall has arrived, Frank. Good morning.
Good morning, JP, to you and Mike. And, yes, it has. It was rainy all week, and I kept hoping that rain would burn off, right? And all of a sudden on game day, it's absolutely perfect, a little cooler this morning. And, God, you're right, JP. Beautiful day for football. Can't wait.
All right, this Jags team is 4-1. There's confidence, but there's still a hint of disappointment in some of their performances last week on Monday Night Football. It's a good place to be when you're 4-1 and still have plenty to critique.
Yeah, that's the bottom line, is that the team's winning. They've had as few losses as anybody in the league, yet they can do things better. I think we all agree with that, JP. I think the passing game hasn't found a rhythm yet. The offense has been a little bit clunky from time to time. Last week there wasn't a very good pass rush, so there's things that didn't go well and your team's still winning. So, no, I think that's where they are. The other side of that is this is a hard 4-game stretch. At San Francisco, home against Kansas City, home against Seattle, the Rams in London. That's 4 good teams. Hey, man, you're 2-0 in that 4-game stretch and a great chance to win again today. So they love where they are, and they could do more, no question.
Yeah, I'm with you, Frank. You can't get that mindset of, though, we're ahead of where we need to be. We're playing with house money. Everyone very important for this team. They got a great opportunity to get the passing game on track today with 3 starters down in the Seahawks secondary. Do you think this is a big day for the Jags passing game?
I think it has to be. I heard what Johnny O said earlier, and I think, Mike, he's dead on. It's going to be hard to run, even though the Jags are very good at running, one of the better running teams in the league. The numbers don't lie. Seattle is 3rd in the league against the rush, and they're 25th in the league against the pass, and now they're down some guys in the back end. They've got a very good defensive front. We've been talking about that all morning. And their back end has got some new guys and some old guys and some different guys. I can't imagine that the Jags won't try and expose them a little bit and take advantage of the deep ball a little bit. They haven't had a consistent vertical passing game. But yes, Mike, I got to believe this is a game you really try to find that. You really do this game.
Is this Travis Hunter's biggest game as a pro yet today?
It's getting there. We're getting there, right, JP? We're getting there. Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't be surprised because he runs vertical routes. I also wouldn't be surprised to see Brian Thomas Jr. really step up. I see some balls over the top, man. And yes, I think Travis Hunter and Brian, I'm looking for both of them down the field a little bit today. I really am.
Yeah, Frank, good defensive front for the Seahawks, but I don't sense any concern with the 7th-round rookie still likely to start at center in Jonah Monheim today.
Wasn't that great? I heard Jeff talking about it earlier. I got to talk to Tony a little bit during the week about that. They loved him in the draft. I can tell you when they took him in the 7th round, Mike, they told me, listen, I know he's a 7th rounder, but we love this guy. He easily beat out Luke Fortner in camp, and they said all along if they needed to put him in, they'd be okay. He was good last week. Now, he didn't have to play very long because it happened near the end of the game. Mike, I don't think they have any concerns at all. I think the whole playbook's there, as we were talking about earlier. I don't think they're worried about that spot, which is amazing. A rookie, period, at that spot, and a low-drafted rookie. But I'm telling you, Mike, I don't think they worry about that at all. I really don't.
Yeah, you probably heard it like I did, Frank. I mean, not only did they love him, they had him the number 1 rated center in the entire draft, and we're not planning on going offensive line and just thought he's too good a value sitting here in the 7th round, so you take good players like they did. But I think it just highlights this offensive line has seemed interchangeable. Not that the starters are not playing well, but there hasn't seemed to be a drop-off whenever they need to go to the bench.
And they've done a great – they've bonded. Jeff and I were watching earlier, and we're watching Robert Hainsey, who's not going to play today, working with Jonah Monheim on his shotgun snaps, working with him, practicing with him. There's a bond between these guys. They've done a great job. Sean Surratt's done a great job building this thing. The offensive line is a good group. You know, we talk about these rooms, Mike, the offensive line room, and it's a family, and they hang out together. We've always heard that. I think this group really is that. I think there's depth. I think they play for each other. I think the coach has done a great job with them. And I expect the offensive line to be good again today. I really do.
Frank Franchi from the broadcast booth ahead of the Seahawks and Jaguars. Well, now, the Seahawks offense, one of the most efficient in football. They're basically 50-50 split, as even as you can come in the run and passing game this year. And they've got Sam Darnold throwing it at 73% when he does throw it. And they've got a running game to go with it. Where do you begin on defense today against Darnold and the Seahawks offense?
He's playing really well, JP. Sam Darnold is 3rd in the league in passer rating with a 114.8. That's really good this far into the season. They got him from Minnesota for a reason. They liked him. He's playing really well. I do think, we saw it last year when he didn't play very well here with the Vikings, if you can move him off his spot a little bit, he's a different quarterback. Now, every quarterback's better when they can sit back there. I know that. But some quarterbacks are better off schedule than others. I don't think he's one of them. So I think if you can harass him, I'll be very interested, JP, to see how Trayvon Walker plays with that club, what they do, what kind of pressures they come up with. Because I think the key, I agree with you, Kenneth Walker's a really good back. Jackson Smith and Jigba's a really good receiver. They've got good weapons. Their offense has been good this year. But I think if you can move Darnold around a little bit, I think that's the key for the Jags today, and I think that's mission number 1.
All right, Frank, have a great call today. Appreciate it.
All right, fellas, thank you.
Frank Franchi from the broadcast booth. Up next is Jaguars Radio Network coverage with Countdown to Kickoff. We'll have the top sound of the week, a visit with Dave Wyman of Seahawks Radio, Fred Taylor's take, and the final word before kickoff with Jags head coach Liam Cohen. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff time for the Seahawks and Jaguars. And thanks for listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars.